Can apply to monthly. And happy birthday. Today's your birthday?
Yes.
Great. Happy birthday. Thank you.
I'm Marina, and I was playful with puppets at bedtime.
That's great.
Hi, I'm Stacy, and I'm actually part of Youth Drama for All, so I'm sitting in today just to kind of see and be participating with you guys. And I was playful with my dog this morning.
Hi, I'm Albert. Last night I was very playful, starting with my oldest daughter Julia with the balloon. Actually, even just blowing up the balloon was kind of play on its own, and we played, the wackiest way we could hit the balloon, and then soon all of her siblings wanted to join in, so it turned into a volleyball match at some point.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, and I was playful with my son Alan, and playing backyard. I hold his feet and he walked with his hand.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Aska. I was playful with my daughter, older daughter, made of the tent by bed sheet in the sleeping room, and then we was into a camping, and I was playing with my kids yesterday night.
Thank you.
Yeah, hello, my name is Martin, and I was part of the castle building activity yesterday, and helped my daughter setting up the roof.
Fantastic.
My name is Vicki, and I was playful with my grandson, Arlo, who's also John's son. We played with a dog. We played tug of war with a big toy, and Arlo would pull, the dog would pull, I would pull, and we had a lot of fun.
Great, thank you.
I'm Rika. So in the morning, my son up there, Yuki, wanted to come and then wake up Dad, and then he was started doing I don't know what that yup game, and then he was writing also on the daddy, and then that was really playful. And when Yuki said no to us, we were like, and showed him exaggerated
That's great.
movement to him. He was laughing, and we did the playful somehow.
Thank
Out of
you.
that. Take a moment and then show him what we're doing, exaggerate, and then he liked it.
That's great.
He liked it, yeah.
That's great, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll ever forget the image of the two of you guys on the chair singing yesterday. Marina especially will never forget that, right? Right, yeah. And me? So this morning, so I have this 18-year-old Curious George, like I told you all about, and some mornings he wakes up and he has a lot of energy, which isn't a very good sign for the rest of the day. So he woke up and he had all that energy, and I said, let's be snowmen. Thinking, oh, that will calm him down. And he runs through the house and he says, let's be trains. And he continued to destroy things. But as Bryn said, that was a good sign that he got what I was talking about. Just wanted to do something else.
Thank you. And actually, Rika, you reminded me that we have a ritual that I think has been great. Actually, Vicki mentioned yesterday that it helped let go of some things. And so as we start, I invite you to stand up for this. Stand up. And we'll do 3 breaths. The first, just inhale together and let it out. And with the second breath we'll do, intentionally, we'll make a sound as we let that breath out. So inhale. And with our third breath, I'd like us all to think of something that we're holding on to, might be a big thing, might be a small thing, that we are going to choose to let go of for the next hour, actually 90 minutes. And so think of what that is, and you let it go on the exhale. Now inhale. And with a sound. Thank you. You can have a seat, and Lisa's going to take a moment and share some of the objectives and our learning goals today.
Great, so fun to be back with all of you today, and again, so impressed. We have every family represented again, 3 days in a row at the end of the day during the holidays. So thrilled you're all here. And just to kind of do a quick recap where we've been, where we're going as we complete this triad of a really fun series together. We started on, what day of the week was it? Wednesday, with our Say Yes concept of really building those empathy muscles and being thoughtful and taking another's perspective to really try to see the world from their eyes through these 4 steps of centering ourselves, pausing, saying yes, and then building from there. So that idea of saying yes is just so rich. I mean, I think every day as we think more about it, it just applies in many, many different ways. So the say yes, or the say yes and. Then yesterday, we had this whole blackboard filled with ideas about play. So at the bottom area here, play, say yes, play. And as we explore different ways to play and different ways to get more connected with your child, like getting closer to them and letting them take the lead and those sorts of things, we could really see how play could help with relationship building, but that it could also help with this whole idea of saying yes and perspective taking. So, see, I think it was your husband who was here yesterday who got up and did the, is that you who did that, right? And then you could see how by the rest of us modeling that, we could really try to get a feel for what it was like to be angry. And now today, our third area, grow. And this just gives you a little bit of a preview of the different topics. And John has figured out I'm very visual, so hopefully this helps some of you. As we follow along today with a strength focus and openness focus, and then choosing kind with the fork in the road. So I want to pose a question to you, we're going to come back and talk about it at the end, which is, why do you think, and you don't need to answer this now, but I want you to be thinking about it, why are we spending this third time where we're talking about growing, about how we each show up in our broader community? So this whole class so far has really been about the adult-child relationship and that sort of one-to-one connection. So think about why are we now kind of turning, pivoting from where we've been to focus on how each of us show up in the community and how we choose kind on a day-to-day basis. Did a number of you get to see Bryn's video today?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you didn't get to see it, you'll have to watch it, but it's a beautiful example of that fork in the road. So over to you, John.
Thank you so much, and it might be because it's Annie's birthday or because it's our last day together, but I just really appreciate that you all brought gifts today. It just was really great of you, and everybody hold your gifts out in front of you if you will. You've got them. Oh, it's great. So in the spirit of giving and these gifts and recognizing that everything can be a gift, I'm going to choose to give my gift to you. Now in the first round, I'm going to give the gift, the person's going to look you in the eye, take the gift, and they're just going to open it up. There's something inside. They don't have to say what it is, and they're just going to say, oh, thank you, I've always wanted this. All right? So I got this gift for you.
Thank you. I like it.
Oh, fantastic. Now you have a different gift that you pass along, and make sure you take that time to open it and see it.
Oh, thank you. I love it.
That's great. And that's awesome. Great, great.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh, it's wonderful. Thank you.
Very nice. Well wrapped.
How did you know?
We'll continue on.
Oh, thank you. How did you know?
Oh, wow. Amazing.
Wow. I've always wanted that. Thank you. I've always wanted that.
You shouldn't have.
Thank you so much. Great. Okay, so as usual, you are ready for the next step, right? We layer these to start simple, but you're already doing what we'll do in the next step, which is specifically identifying what gift we get. But with this, we're going to do it with partners so we can do a little bit more simultaneous work. And I'm going to have you two partner, and you two partner, and you two partner, and you two partner. All right? So I think you're the only one that needs to shift over. And for this, you might choose to stand, or you might just shift so that you can look at your partner. It's up to you on this. But of course, you've got gifts for your partner, your special partner you have gifts for. And this round, it's going to be a little bit different. And let's see, you're going to be my volunteer, but you'll still get to do it with your partner. So you'll give me a gift this time, and I will again open it. And this time, and some of you are doing this, I could tell in your imagination, you say, oh, it's a foxtail. Sorry, animal lovers. I've always wanted this. And then, so I identified specifically what gift it is. And then you'll say, I thought of you because you hate foxes, or you love soft things, whatever you might say, right? So the person opening it identifies specifically what it is, and it's always a good thing. It's never like, oh, yucko. It's always good. Everything's a gift. And then you identify it, and the other person says, yes, I thought you'd like it because, or I knew you love foxes, or you're an animal, right? Whatever it is, it's always a positive exchange. And I'll say A. So you're the A's. You'll be the first gift giver. Just it helps to know who's the first. A, prepare to give your gifts to B, and then after that exchange is done, B, you'll give a gift back to A. All right. And begin your gift exchanges now.
So I will be A.
Oh,
Thank you. I like it.
Oh, little puppies. You should have. I really like this. They kind of wonder, they're so familiar with us.
And for you. I know you're very stressed out during the holidays.
The other way around.
You get it? We're keep on doing right?
You each exchange.
Yeah.
You've done great. You've done great.
Different to wear.
That's great. All right, now. Now for our round three. For round three, I'm actually going to switch. I'm going to have you sit over here for this one. Lisa and I talked about some pairing ideas, and otherwise, this is great. Okay, so you two will be partners, and you two will be partners. For round three, before we begin, I'd like everybody to think of, this is where we get a little challenging, a difficult family situation, and not a story, but a sentence. I'll give an example. I might say, or Asuka might say, here John, I got you this gift, and then this person, the gift giver, names it. It's a car stuck in traffic with a screaming child in the back seat. And I would take that, instead of saying, oh, no, I would say, open up, right, open. Yes, thank you. This is going to help me think of new games to play in the car when I'm on long road trips. Thank you so much. And it's not sarcastic, it's not like, thanks a lot. It wants to cross the bridge to that genuine thing, and it won't be easy. But I want everybody to take a moment. Hopefully, if it's a challenge for you to think of one, hopefully we can all think of one. I don't want to leave you out there. You probably can think of too many. But take a moment, think of one. And again, not a story, just a sentence that you can give as a gift that you're going to give to your partner in a moment. All right, I'll let you take a moment to make sure you have an idea. And you're going to give that challenging family situation as a gift. And this time we'll start with the B's, or whoever the other person will start. But you'll still each do one. You'll give the gift and name it as you give it. And the person will say thank you and explain why it's a gift. We're looking at a strength orientation rather than a deficit orientation. Trying to look through those rose-colored glasses intentionally today.
The receiver, is it the receiver who says why it's a gift?
Yes. Yes.
The receiver
The giver says,
why
here's a
it's
gift, but the receiver says why it's a positive thing for them. All right, good, thank you. All right, and begin. If you're struggling with this, I'll come around.
Let's go. Oh, you gotta come over here.
I'm the gift So I tell her what the gift is?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
This is,
It's a child coming to your breakfast to tell you.
Wow, that's a gift okay, here's mine.
Wow, that's a great opportunity to have discussions with your son and he's listening to you.
So did you say that was your answer?
I always like to tell him, he really
That's a hard one
skip the breakfast. I always try to remind him,
We
but
have a 75,
that
3,
really give you energy start.
Yes.
Start of the day.
So what we're looking for is to get
I know.
Try to give it a Okay, so now you say thank you. Why,
Yes, thank you so
talk about
much.
why is that make something good out of something that doesn't seem so good. How can you use your imagination to make that a good thing? You get a breakfast?
Okay.
We get to cook again. Yeah.
3 days cooking.
I think most of the gifts have been exchanged. I heard one gift the gift of a child coming into the room explaining they wet the bed. Very nice gifts that I heard. Now,
College application.
fantastic. Thank you for sharing your gifts with each other. So this was our first step to challenge ourselves to take something that most of us honestly wouldn't think of as a positive gift, but recognize in there's something to learn or from which to grow. And so Lisa's going to take us through a little bit of discussion around this.
Okay, so one of the ways we've been thinking about this strength orientation, it's sort of around looking at the good side, or being optimistic about a situation, looking for the, as they sometimes say, the silver lining. And so this strengths focus, this image, and you'll get this on your card later, is that idea of a glass half full. So you can either, of course, look at it, the glass filled up to this as being half empty or half full. So one of the things that can just really help you get through the day is by looking at the glass half full. And that applies not just to specific situations, which we were just doing, Julie, we were looking at how do you take a situation that looks like a bad thing, but actually is, can be, there's good in it. So what we'd like you to do is in your pairs, and we will figure out the pairs.
And Lisa, you can be paired over here.
Fabulous. Okay, great.
great.
Okay, great. So 2 and then back with the pairs you were just with, but the 2 you'll be back together. What we want you to do is have a conversation about, first, something about yourself that distinguishes kind of who you are. And that could be, if you look at it, you can think of it as a bad thing, or you can look at it as a good thing. So John, can you give an example for you?
When I was reflecting on this, I didn't grow up in a big city or a big area. I grew up in Iowa in a smaller community. And so there was a lot of times in my life where I thought, oh, I don't know about the big city things, or I'm kind of ignorant. But then I realized that there was some experiences I had, maybe doing farm work in the summers or work ethic that I was proud of that could be a strength rather than a deficit. So it is that fork in the road. I could choose to think of it either way, and why not think of it as a positive thing, since that's a big part of who I am.
Okay, so you're going to start with something about yourself that you can look at either as a problem, or you can look at the good side of it. Any questions about that? It will come around. And then after you have that conversation about yourself, now think about your child that's upstairs, and think about a quality about them that you could look at as a strength or as a weakness, but think about it as a strength. So I'll give an example of that one, which is that I have a beautiful 23-year-old daughter who is very strong-willed. And as she was growing up, we went like this really a lot during the teen years. I mean, it was really, really hard. The bright side of it, the glass half full side of it, is that she's a confident, healthy young lady, and we went through our separation early. Now we have a very strong relationship. And I always kind of kept that in mind, that as she was growing up, that although she had a very strong will, that it would all pay back in time and serve her very well. So if you can have that conversation about yourself and maybe quality or something that defines a little bit of who you are and how it can be a glass half full, and do the same with your child. Sound good?
Does it need to be something that cannot be improved, or I mean, something benign? I don't know, or is it something substantial you want to give?
There's no right answer.
Okay.
And I think it's really nice too that where we do have partners in the room, where you're partners in life, that you're kind of talking through these things too, because they're good conversations to be having. So let's go ahead and in your pairs, and we'll just share back a little. John, were you going to say something?
Oh, I was going to say one of us is going to partner.
Oh, I'll partner.
Okay, great, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. I'll grab a chair.
Ourselves and then
One thing that I would say is, like, if I'm really passionate about something, it's like I'm not really sucked into it, I'm really devoted, focused on it. But in some ways, like, especially with work, for example, I'm comfortable to track my family life or some kind of balance. But you know, on the other side,
Sometimes you can look at it as a challenge, but when you look at it as
trying to balance for my daughter, she's kind of interested in so in a sense, she's really independent and she'll say no in some situations. But on the other hand, she's maybe not, you know, she's not socially going in the sense that she's actively around with people.
Yeah, all of a sudden you're
Finish this sentence or two that you're sharing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Deliver the goods
Okay.
on time.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We're just compressed. All right. Finish the thought. I don't want to stop anybody's sentence, but then would anybody care to share back anything they discovered through sharing about the child or through yourself that maybe you think differently than you did 5 minutes ago about this? Did you discover anything in your conversation about yourself or ways to think about our children?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't think about children that much. We were talking about us the most.
Yeah, oh, that's great. That's great.
So what should we talk about our children?
Oh, it's really sharing back anything that came out of your conversation. You think, the whole group should know about this. This was pretty cool. I discovered that. Or maybe I definitely heard people talking, so I trust that your conversations were positive and helpful. Anything anybody want to share from your conversation with the person? Not so.
Well, our older daughter is very strong-willed, so it's very similar to what you said, yeah. So we're hoping that will, help her, when she gets older.
Yeah, absolutely.
With the confidence and that leadership role that she might play.
Absolutely. And at the moment, it doesn't always
Yeah.
feel it. I know from experience. Yeah, thank you. It's my birthday, let's move on. So I will come back to a theme from the very first day, some of the things we set down. We went from the cell phone to setting it down. We went to noticing. I'm glad you noticed. So much of what we've done, both intentionally and just organically, has been about openness and connecting that. We can look at, oh, this terrible problem, or this possible gift, that tension, that fork in the road. And you can, I think of openness as when we're really fully ourselves. I think we're all radiating beings, and when we're with people or in situations where we're not holding anything back, at least I feel more myself. And so we can think about those situations where we're closed off somewhat, whether it's at work or around certain people at work, or at certain family gatherings, or certain things where you feel closed off in certain places. Maybe it's the dance floor, maybe it's theater, where you feel you're just radiating. And so connecting that openness. And we want to take that today out into the world, into our interactions with people different than ourselves. I have to acknowledge that I'm often most myself and open when I'm around people who think like me, or maybe look like me, or have similar experiences from similar places, right? And so I have, as you know, I love role play. We're going to do a little bit of role play. And I've got a series of prompts. It's like my slips of paper. So, and I'm going to invite you to, why don't you join this trio? And so, you two are partners, and we've got you two, there we go. Every group is going to draw one of these scenarios, and what we'll have is a parent and child. So, you'll have to argue about who gets to be the parent, who gets to be the child, encountering some other people, some other human beings out in the world. And there are people that, and I'll just be honest, from my experience, in my life, I've experienced pulling back, maybe protecting my child from that, or not knowing how to respond with that, especially with a child, but even on my own. So we want to recognize that impulse to pull back, which is also an impulse to close. But in these scenarios, of course, we're going to model and practice, rehearse the idea of how might we engage, first with our child, because we won't be seeing the other characters, nobody's going to be playing them, but they'll be on your prompts. And you're going, on these prompts, you'll have some suggestions of how you might do that. So I'm going to give one to this trio, draw one, and hopefully it makes sense when you read the prompt. If not, we'll be around to guide you. We want to set you up for success. I don't think you have a lot of choice. And what you'll do is, similar to what we did yesterday, you'll have a moment to check in with your partner or your trio, and then you'll create a scene, probably a 30-second to 1 minute scene. You don't have to do a Eugene O'Neill play.
It should be related to what we just did about the strengths of the situation? Or
yes, so you look, you're in a place with your child, and you see somebody, and it's a situation that sometimes one would pull back from, but explore these, and they all start with the center pause moment, and then see what conversation